1 and 1.
You know, Elder, it just shows that in your circumstances, no matter what they are, if you keep your faith in your Creator, He'll bring you through it.
Sure, if you got faith in the right thing.
Right.
If you got faith in the right thing and you doing what the Spirit. See, a lot of times we get off into things and we think that this might be the right thing to do. But you have to make sure that you're led by the Spirit in those things, because if you don't, you can put forth a lot of effort and then you still end up with egg on your face. This is why I tell people you have to learn how to separate your personal self from the things of the Spirit. Once you learn how to do that, then you'll find you know whether Yahweh has brought something to you or whether this is something you've concocted in your own mind. And a lot of times what happens is we concoct things in our own mind and thinking that we're led by the Spirit. But you're supposed to know, a servant of God has to know when they were led by the Spirit, simply because, and what lets you know this is that things prosper that you deal with. You're going to have snags and so forth in anything. That's what makes it interesting. But Yahweh isn't just going to come and say, well, here, make you do some work for it. But then he's already got these things laid up for you. So, but once you learn how to separate the natural man from the things of the Spirit, then you can see the Spirit when you move. And this is something that a lot of us don't do. We don't try to watch the movement of the Spirit. What we try to watch is the movement of some fleshly man or some fleshly woman. And that's what's always caused us our problem. Go ahead and read, Steve.
Genesis chapter 41, verse 1. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kinds came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kind upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kind did eat up the 7 well-flavored and fat kind. So Pharaoh awoke, and he slept and dreamed the second time, and behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream.
But he had dreamed this dream twice in different ways to let him know that this thing here is sure. You see, but the thing of it is, he didn't know what it meant. But this is the reason why kings of the earth always kept a bunch of soothsayers and different folks around, monthly prognosticators and so forth. This is why right now today we got those 900 numbers that you can call you up a witch. You see what I mean? Simply because people don't know these things, and what they have a tendency to do is keep a lot of people around them to listen to what man's interpretation is of these things, instead of going into the house of the true and living God and getting down on your knees and asking him to reveal that thing to you. And if it's something you're supposed to know, then truly the Spirit will bring it to you. Yahweh never leaves you guessing about anything. He lets you know just what's going on. Amen. That way you know what to do about it. You hear a lot of things, but what you do is you throw out feelers. Just throw out feelers, and pretty soon the right answer come back to you. Go ahead and read, brother.
Genesis chapter 41, verse 8. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt, and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. Then spoke the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day.
I guess so. You've been out of jail 2 whole years, and you told yourself had already revealed this dream to you of this prosperity. And that dream come about, and here this dude here to show you that he was just thinking about himself. See? He never thought about Joseph. He was just thinking about himself. It was 2 whole years after he had got out of prison that he finally said, I remember my faults this day. He was supposed to remember that when he first came out. Yeah, but go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 10. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants, and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night, I and he, we dream each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, a Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream, he did interpret. And it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon, and he shaved himself and changed his raiment and came in unto Pharaoh.
Now, this piece of that verse right there is very, very significant, and when you're dealing with other people, let me show you what I mean. Ethiopians, if you notice they don't have any hair. You notice that? When you see these brothers that's with those Ethiopians saying that they're Ethiopians and they got all them beards and everything, that's Jake. Jake just don't know it yet. See, the reason why Joseph shaved his face because them Hamites didn't have any hair on their face. That's why. Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother. Of course. See, he would want to be up there in front of Pharaoh. Pharaoh is clean shaven. So what did Joseph do? He shaved himself. See, that way he can be acceptable to Pharaoh, wouldn't he? Right. Yeah. We were our people. Well, we'll get in that later on. Go ahead and read, Steve.
Genesis chapter 41, verse 15, I'm sorry. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of you that you can understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not in me. Yah shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace.
Amen. That's the way to go, bro. Verse 25.
And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. Elohim have shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kinds are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kind that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What Elohim is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous. And for that the dream was double unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by Elohim, and Elohim will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. And let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such a one as this man is, as this is a man in whom the spirit of Elohim is?
Amen.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as Elohim have showed you all this, there is none so discreet and wise as you are. You shall be over my house, and according unto your word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than you. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set you over all the land of Egypt.
Now, later on, we're going to read and show where not only was it done with Joseph, it was also done with other people of our, that came up among us. Look at the prophet Daniel. Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael and Azariah, the brothers they called Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, those brothers was put over all of the 27 provinces of the king of Babylon. Simply because Yahweh was keeping a light in the house of Israel so that they can return, so that the Messiah could be born in that land. But go ahead and read, my brother. See, Yahweh is always taking care of his people. The thing of it is this. We don't see things materialize the way that we think that they should materialize, so we think that Yahweh isn't in it. But what you do, you have to learn how to serve the true and living God, you have to learn a lot of patience. Patience is the first virtue that you're going to really revel in, simply because it takes patience to deal with the true and living God. We pray about things today, and he may not make it manifest for 2 or 3 years. Right. That's because it's not time to make it manifest now. He may not be there, like they used to say, he may not be there when you call him, but he's always on time. He was there when you called. See, it wasn't time yet. And a lot of time we pray about things of our own vanity, about things that we thinking about doing and so forth and so on. And Yahweh says no. And we still waiting for an answer to prayer. I wonder what he's going to say. If he didn't talk to you, then something is up. Yeah, go ahead now. Yeah.
Now here Pharaoh, this is the same Pharaoh was in office that had put Joseph in prison in the first place. Mm-hmm. So he knew who Yosef was. Sure.
Sure, he knew it was Hebrew. The man told him it was a Hebrew.
And he knew this was the same guy he was dealing with, too.
Sure.
That he had over his household once before.
No, well, see, this is the Pharaoh. See, that was Potiphar.
Okay.
See, this is a different thing. See,
so he had to go through the calamity to come out and be on time.
Right. See, Potiphar was the one that put him in jail.
Right, so he had to go through calamity in order to...
Right, and then Pharaoh was the one that brought him out of jail.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead and read, brother.
Genesis chapter 41, verse 42. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried before him, bow the knee. And he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. Regular Colin Powell.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Secretary of State.
Yeah, we're going to see if this calamity is going to fall at the hands of the Secretary of State, Colin Powell. It seemed just right for it to fall, for it to have a Republican in office, and one of us is in a high office as Secretary of State. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 44. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without you shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Sapnath-Pirnah, and he gave him to wife Ashnath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, and Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt. And in the 7 plenteous years, the earth brought forth by handfuls. And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities. The food of the field, which was round about every city, laid he up in the same. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much, until he left numbering, for it was without number. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh. For Elohim, said he, have made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second called he Ephraim. For Elohim has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. And the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended. And the 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, go unto Joseph. What he says to you, do.
Pass that buck, huh? Go ahead, brother.
And the famine was over all the face of the earth, And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians, and the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that the famine was so sore in all lands. Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, Why do you look one upon another? And he said, Behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, Least peradventure mischief befall him.
Now he played this game with Joseph, didn't he? Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Verse 5. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed themselves before him with their faces to the earth. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spoke roughly unto them. And he said unto them, From where did you come? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said unto them, You are spies. To see the nakedness of the land you are come. And they said unto him, No, my lord, but to buy food are your servants come. We are all one man's sons. We are true men. Your servants are no spies. And he said unto them, No, but to see the nakedness of the land you are come. And they said, Your servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not. And Joseph said unto them, That is it that I spoke unto you, saying, You are spies. Hereby you shall be proved. By the life of Pharaoh you shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither. Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and you shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh surely you are spies. And he put them all together in ward 3 days. And Joseph said unto them the 3rd day, This do, and live, for I fear Yahweh. If you be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go you, carry corn for the famine of your houses. But bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and you shall not die. And they did so. And they said one to another, We are verily guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us. And Reuben answered them, saying, Spoke I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child, and you would not hear? Therefore, behold, also his blood is required.
Right. Younger brothers refuse to listen to older brothers. You know why? They figure they know just as much as the older brother does. Go ahead, and it causes them serious problems. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 23. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spoke unto them by an interpreter. And he turned himself about from them and wept, and returned to them again, and communed with them, and took from them Simeon, and bound him before their eyes. Then Joseph commanded to fill their sacks with corn, and to restore every man's money into his sack, and to give them provision for the way, and thus did he unto them. And they laded their asses with the corn, and departed thence. And as one of them opened his sack to give his ass provender, in the end he espied his money. For behold, it was in his sack's mouth. And he said unto his brethren, My money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their heart failed them, and they were afraid, saying one to another, What is this that Elohim have done unto us? And they came unto Jacob their father unto the land of Canaan, and told him all that befell unto them, saying, This man, who is the Lord of the land, spoke roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. And we said unto him, We are true men, we are no spies. We be 12 brethren, sons of one father, one is not, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan. And the man, the Lord of the country, said unto us, Hereby shall I know that you are true men. Leave one of your brethren here with me, and take food for the famine of your households, and be gone, and bring your youngest brother unto me. Then shall I know that you are no spies, but that you are true men. So shall I deliver your brother, and you shall traffic in the land. And it came to pass, as they emptied their sacks, that, behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when both they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid. And Jacob their father said unto them, Me have you bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not, and you will take Benjamin away. All these things are against me.
Well, the brothers weren't the one that bereaved him of Simeon. He was the one that sent the brothers down into Egypt to
Take care of business.
to take care of the business. Now, he can pass that buck any way he want to, but it was him that sent him down there. So he was at fault, right? He was at fault with Joseph being sold. But go ahead and read. But see, regardless of what happened, you see what happened? Yahweh was still with that brother. Like he told him, I'm not going to leave you. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 37. And Reuben spoke unto his father, saying, Slay my 2 sons, if I bring him not to you. Deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to you again. And he said, My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and if he is left alone. Verse 38. And he said, My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in which you go, then shall you bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. And the famine was sore in the land, and it came to pass, when they had eaten up the corn which they had brought out of Egypt, their father said unto them, Go again, buy us a little food. And Yehudah spoke unto him, saying, The man did solemnly protest unto us, saying, You shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. If you will send our brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you will not send him, we will not go down. For the man said unto us, You shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. And Israel said, Wherefore did you so ill with me, as to tell the man whether you had yet a brother? And they said, The man asked us straightly of our state and of our kindred, saying, Is your father yet alive? Have you another brother? And we told him according to the tenor of these words. Could we certainly know that he would say, Bring your brother down? And Yehudah said unto Israel his father, Send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I will be surety for him. Of my hand shall you require him. If I bring him not unto you, and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. For except we had lingered, surely now we had returned the second time. And their father Israel said unto them, If it must be so now, do this. Take of the best fruits in the land in your vessels, and carry down the man a present, a little balm and a little honey, spices and myrrh and nuts and almonds.
They weren't too hungry, were they? Huh? They just wanted some corn to make some bread with. That's what it was. But they had all this other stuff here. They could have sufficed off that, couldn't they? But see, Yahweh was in the process of doing his thing. Yeah, go ahead now. He was in the process of raising our people up to be a great nation of people in safety, just like he's done us right here in this country here. We've been raised up to be a multitude of people. People say that we are a minority. I doubt that very seriously. I mean, every place I go, we are back to back everywhere. I mean, we move right here in Georgia. We just about moving these Europeans out of the state. See, every time they build up a neighborhood, look, here we are. I want to come in there and live with you. See, and they make tons of money on the property they sell us, and they move on out. And soon as they get settled up real good, here we are right there again. And these folks are getting tired of that, y'all. And guess what? They're taking back over downtown Atlanta. That's where the money is being made at. See, they farmed that out during the civil rights movement to get us accustomed to going out in those areas and spending money in those areas, and it brought up the tax structures of those areas. But the money is made downtown in Atlanta, and they're building downtown in Atlanta like mad. People are moving back in loft apartments, and all around that downtown area, if you notice, the Europeans are moving back in those neighborhoods, buying those old houses that we didn't want and fixing them up, and they're living there. And because the managing team of the downtown area, they plan on having right around the city. That way they can catch martyr because it's smarter. And see, we move way out in the country. They buy a house, they spend $80,000 for it, stay there 2 years, and we moved in and we paid $200,000 for the house, right? They make that money, they go buy them another house, and then we moving further out. We the ones now that's got to buy all that gas and stuff to get back and forth into the city. Oh yes, well I live in Stockdale. I live here. I'm glad I live in Atlanta. I can catch martyr. Yeah. Go ahead and yeah.
So Elder Israel, I was looking in chapter 42. I was looking at when Joseph was talking to his brethren, that in 23 it says, and they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter. You know what I'm saying? So it's like while he was speaking to them, he was speaking Egyptian, and they probably speaking Hebrew. So I mean,
brother, he was standing right there next to Pharaoh. He was Pharaoh's right-hand man. He was over all. He was second in charge in the land of Egypt. So naturally, he spoke the Egyptian tongue. But that didn't make him forget his Hebrew tongue. But he didn't want to reveal himself to his brother. So naturally he spoke to him through an interpreter.
But he did tell him he feared Jah. So he had given him a little.
What he didn't really say.
Yeah, he gave him a little hint.
He didn't really say he feared Yah. He said, I fear Elohim.
Okay.
Rattle that around for a minute. But you're absolutely right, brother. He did speak to him through an interpreter, simply because you got to understand the brother's station in that land. He couldn't be there and govern all the land. He's trying to tell these Hamites what to do, and they speaking maybe Swahili or something. We don't know what they were speaking, and they didn't understand Joseph. So naturally, he had to learn. Either he already knew the Egyptian tongue, and it wouldn't be with what he was doing. It wouldn't be advantageous to him to speak to them in Hebrew language, anyways. Yeah. Well, go ahead and read, Steve.
Genesis chapter 43, verse 12. And take double money in your hand, and the money that was brought again in the mouth of your sacks, carry it again in your hand. Peradventure it was an oversight. Take also your brother, and arise, go again unto the man. And Elohim Almighty give you mercy before the man, that he may send away your other brother and Benjamin. If I be bereaved of my children, I am bereaved. And the men took that present, and they took double money in their hand and Benjamin, and rose up and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. And when Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the ruler of his house, bring these men home and slay and make ready, for these men shall dine with me at noon.
Verse 25.
And they made ready the present against Joseph came at noon, for they heard that they should eat bread there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the presents which was in their hand into the house, and bowed themselves to him to the earth. And he asked them of their welfare, and said, is your father well, the old man of whom you spoke? Is he yet alive? And they answered, your servant, our father, is in good health. He is yet alive.
Now, one part of that dream is being fulfilled. He said the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars had made obeisance unto him, right? So we see right here that the 11 stars did that, didn't they? Okay, go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 29. And he lifted up his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, Is this your younger brother of whom you spoke unto me? And he said, Elohim be gracious unto you, my son. And Joseph made haste, for his bowels did yearn upon his brother. And he sought where to weep, and he entered into his chamber and wept there. And he washed his face and went out and refrained himself and said, Set on bread. And they set on for him by himself, and for them by themselves, and for the Egyptians which did eat with him by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination unto the Egyptians.
Right, because we ate their gods. See, we were a keeper of cattle. Our people were a keeper of cattle. And Pharaoh was called the son of Ra, the bull, right? So we ate their gods. So we were an abomination to them folks. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 33. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men marveled one at another. And he took and sent messes unto them from before him. But Benjamin's mess was 5 times so much as any of theirs, and they drank and were merry with him.
45 and 1.
Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him. And he cried, Cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph was made known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Does my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence.
Right. Wonder what this brother gonna do, man. We know this brother here gonna rip us off, man, because of what we did to him. So you can understand why now they understood why he was so rough with them, why they want him to go get the brother and so forth and so on. Now they understood these things, but they got another problem. They wanted to know what this brother gonna do. Yeah, go ahead, because he's second ruler. He can kill us all off in one word be said. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 4. And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved nor angry with yourselves that you sold me hither. For Elohim did send me before you to preserve life.
Amen.
For these 2 years have the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in the which there shall be neither earing nor harvest. And Elohim sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance.
Praise Yah.
So now it was not you that sent me hither, but Elohim. And he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Haste you, and go up to my father, and say unto him, Thus says your son Joseph, Elohim hath made me lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, you and your children, and your children's children, and your flocks, and your herds, and all that you have. And there will I nourish you, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest you and your household, and all that you have, come to poverty. Verse 12. And behold, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that speaketh unto you. And you shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that you have seen, and you shall haste and bring down my father hither. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brethren and wept upon them, and after that his brethren talked with him. And the fame thereof was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brethren are come. And it pleased Pharaoh well and his servants. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, say unto your brethren, this do you, lay your beasts, and go, get you unto the land of Canaan, and take your father and your households, and come unto me. And I will give you the good of the land of Egypt, and you shall eat the fat of the land. Now you are commanded, this do you, take you wagons out of the land of Egypt, for your little ones and for your wives, and bring your father, and come. Also regard not your stuff, for the good of all the land of Egypt is yours.
Now, what this shows us is that Yahweh, and when we read these stories and so forth, we find out the one thing. Yahweh has always sent servants ahead to prepare his people for what's coming. In this time, he has servants out here that are preparing his people for the coming of Yahshua HaMashiach, simply because it's our time. 20, 30 years ago, a lot of folks didn't want to hear what's being said. But as we get closer to the time of our deliverance, remember, we only supposed to be here 400 years now. And as we get closer to our deliverance, you're going to find out that people, our congregation is steadily going to be increasing, and steadily going to be increasing. But then when you look around, you're going to see another thing, that Satan is gathering his too. And if something doesn't take place, those will be the same people from among our people that's going to be purged out of that wilderness, simply because they're not going to want to deal with keeping the laws of the true and living God. Yet instead they're going to say, well, we love everybody. Right. So Yahweh is going to purge them out, 2/3 of the people. He's going to purge out of that wilderness. And once he purged them out, then the remnant is going into that secret place in the wilderness. The remnant that's left, these will be the rulers of the earth for 1,000 years. These are the ones that will inherit the land that was given to our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, from the river Nile to the great river, the river Euphrates. And as he said, as you grow, I'm going, when them kids start saying, give me a place to dwell, this place is too close for me, man. Give me some place to dwell. I'm going to take other people land and give it to you. Why? Because the earth belongs to you, Israel. Chapter 46 and verse 1.
And Elder, during this time, I guess they're trying to stave off the situation with the UN, because we got, you saying this is our time for the regathering is coming close, but you see how the United States laid claim to the money that Ted Turner said he was sending over to the UN to take care of some business.
The United States need to pay their money to the UN.
Yeah, but that's what he said. He's saying basically the United States laid claim that money is to pay back the debt that is owed by the United States.
Well, the United States owed United Nations millions upon millions of dollars, brother, and they refuse to pay it simply because they're the hammer of the whole earth. They're going to keep their status as long as Judah here, so they really don't feel that they don't have to pay it. But the hold up in Europe, as far as the coming together of this beast is concerned, has to deal with the World Bank. The World Bank is the hold up on this, so keep an eye on what the World Bank is doing in that money market, because they're the ones that's keeping those new nations from coming in, because they don't want to, well, it's problems with their currency and so forth, with their credit. That's what basically is. Chapter 46 and verse 1.
And Israel took his journey with all that he had, and came to Beersheba, and offered sacrifices unto the El of his father Esau. And Elohim spoke unto Israel in the visions of the night, and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here am I. And he said, I am Elohim, the Elohim of your father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of you a great nation.
That's what I like about my God. He's going to always reveal himself to you, so you can receive the instruction, so you won't have to surmise that you're doing what's right. He's going to come to you and let you know what you got to do. But go ahead and read, my brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 4. I will go down with you into Egypt, and I will also surely bring you up again, and Joseph shall put his hand upon your eyes. And Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father, and their little ones, and their wives, in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. And they took their cattle and their goods, which they had gotten in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt, Jacob and all his seed with him, his sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all his seed brought he with him into Egypt.
Verse 26.
All the souls that came with Jacob into Egypt, which came out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons' wives, all the souls were 66. And the sons of Joseph, which were born him in Egypt, were 2 souls. All the souls of the house of Jacob, which came into Egypt, were 70. And he sent Yehuda before him unto Joseph to direct his face unto Goshen, and they came into the land of Goshen.
48 and 1.
And it came to pass after these things that one told Joseph, Behold, your father is sick. And he took with him his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And one told Jacob and said, Behold, your son Joseph cometh unto thee. And Israel strengthened himself and sat upon the bed. And Jacob said unto Joseph, Elohim Almighty appeared unto me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and blessed me, and said unto me, Behold, I will make you fruitful and multiply you, and I will make of you a multitude of people, and will give this land to your seed after you for an everlasting possession.
Amen.
And now your 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto you in the land of Egypt before I came unto you into Egypt, are mine. As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine. And your issue which you beget up after them shall be yours, and shall be called after the name of their brethren in their inheritance. As for me, when I came from Pandanaram, Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan in the way, when yet there was but a little way to come unto Ephrath, and I buried her there in the way of Ephrath, the same as Bethlehem. And Israel beheld Joseph's sons, and said, Who are these? And Joseph said unto his father, These are my 2 sons, whom Elohim have given me in this place. And he said, Bring them, I pray you, unto me, and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were dim for age, so that he could not see. And he brought them near unto him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said unto Joseph, I had not thought to see your face, and lo, Elohim have showed me also your seed. And Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near unto him. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly. For Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, Elohim, before whom our fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the Elohim which fed me all my life long unto this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth.
Now, this is where them Europeans get the fact that Ephraim and Manasseh is Great Britain in the United States, because they've grown into a multitude of people. Hell, there was already a multitude of people. Scripture told you, Noah even said, Yahweh is going to enlarge Japhet.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 17. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him. And he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head. And Joseph said unto his father, Not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put your right hand upon his head. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations.
Now, the younger brother is the United States. The older brother is Europe, right?
Sounds good, don't it?
Okay, yeah, it does.
But Herbert Armstrong said that.
Yeah. Yeah, and folks going along with that mess too, brother. A whole lot of other denominations going along with it simply because that lie was put out there by the adversary of the devil. And a lie is so easy to believe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. A lie is easy to be entreated until you dig into it. But go ahead and read,
I heard
brother.
this white boy tell me, man, that what's it? Denmark was Dan's mom.
I heard that too, brother. Yeah, go ahead.
Trying to ban the Herbert W. Armstrong's book.
Huh?
They trying to ban that book.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that, brother, but what's the sense in banning the book and folks already know what the books say? That don't make no sense. You take all the books out, they go out there and have a big bonfire, man, and dump all the books on the earth that they printed in a hole. The lie is still in the street. Monday, folks is going to be talking about Mary Noel and all that other junk, right? Okay.
Well, you know what? And now the producers and the directors on television are now really disclosing that this is a celebration of the solstice.
Sure.
And last year, this time, they did a medieval Celtic presentation about the darkness covering the earth and the winter coming in and the celebration of solstice. Now, this year, I just happened to catch a glimpse. They had on a popular television show, Xena, which is definitely set before the Messiah was born. And what happened was they took her little sword circle. Little boy stole it from her and made it and put it at the top of the Christmas tree that they had brought in. And so when she walked in, she followed the little boy back to his little orphanage. And she walked in and said, you all are celebrating the solstice, because they put it at the top of the Christmas tree and they were gathered around the Christmas tree. And so they said, you all are having a solstice celebration. So if people don't get it now, and that's a pretty popular television program, a lot of kids watch that, then they really don't have no understanding, because that was just really vividly saying you are not celebrating the birth of the Messiah, you are celebrating the solstice. They had the Christmas tree with the little circle up there, and what it was is the king's men came in to arrest anybody who celebrated the solstice, who participated in the solstice celebration. And she was fighting against the king's men to allow the people to celebrate the solstice celebration.
Brother.
So I'm just saying, they're just making it very, very, very clear.
As they know it's a bunch of lies. Who cares? Who cares? They gonna go out there, they gonna go there and buy that tree and take it in the house and set it up. I don't care what nobody says. You know why? It's tradition. And we want to be just like Master. If Master say, well, we know it's paganism, but we gonna do it anyway, so okay. And we go right on along and do it. No, the average person you talk to, you tell, say, well, why do you ask them about this paganism they keep in order to say, well, we know it. But we're going to do it anyways. You know why? They don't care. Jake is going to do what Massa want Jake to do, cut and dry. When Massa try to change things, Jake going to still keep on doing it until he begin to stink before Master, and then Jake will begin to do something else. But until that time, brother, these folks going to, I tell you what, you go around the streets, you still, when Halloween came, they had pumpkins everywhere, didn't they? Huh? Folks know what that's all about, but they still had pumpkins everywhere. This pagan holiday come up, folks know what the grown folks know what that's all about. They knew that was a lie when they first told their kids, say, Santa Claus is gonna come. He know when you're sleeping, he know when you wake, he know when you're bad, he know when you're good. He got flying reindeer, Jack. See? Flying reindeer, fly all over the earth. Go down all the chimneys, even leave presents in the house, they ain't got no chimneys. Right? Folks know it's paganism. Folks know Easter's paganism, but they don't care. You know why? People love to serve the adversary of the devil, brother. If you don't think so, walk around church.
Amen.
Go on and read, man.
This they talking about Santa Claus been spotted here and been spotted there, you know, telling that lie.
Yeah, Santa Claus is over Denmark now.
Yeah.
I heard that junk. He's over here now. He's over there now. And I'm out at the mall looking around, and I see kids sitting on Santa Claus knee. How many of them do y'all got? Everybody's Santa Claus. Once they were just white Santas. Now you got Asian Santas, black Santas, Hispanic Santas. Everybody's a Santa now, brother.
Look here.
Right? Got even women. Right? Check that out.
You can't even get, you can't get no brother to sit at no North Pole, man. Ain't no way.
I don't know, brother. It was a brother that went on that expedition with him that when they discovered the North Pole.
Did he freeze it?
No.
He came back.
Now that brother went up there and planted that flag, bro.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. He was the one that went up there and planted that flag. It's just
Matter of fact, I think he's the only one that made it.
right.
You know, I just
It's just down here in Georgia that we
See,
Georgia and Florida, we hate that cold, brother.
Yeah, I don't see the difference between that and people who say they believe in the Messiah, but yet they don't do the things that are technically written in Scripture that is supposed to be done.
None of us
Find
do,
any
bro.
difference?
None of us do.
So what's the difference? And some of us may not set the tree up physically, but the tree is in their heart and in their mind, and you see it through their family and their children.
Well, you know, they got their problem with the tree, but then all of us got our own skeletons in our closet. Like the scripture said, there's not one righteous. No, not one. This is why when I see somebody that's celebrating, I know that they don't know what I know they really don't know what it's all about. So, you know, I leave folks alone. You know, they talk with me about it. No, I don't celebrate that pagan. Y'all keep up with that paganism. I don't deal with that. But, and the reason why I've gotten like that, brothers, because I realize one thing. You can talk about folks. You can deal with folks. You can see unrighteousness prevailing in the land, but don't marvel at it because God himself is marveling at those things. What you do is this. What I've learned to do is this. When they do that, and I see their paganism, they don't know no better. But then when I tell a lie, what's the difference? What's the difference? When I bug other folks, when I'm being busybodies in other men's matters, what's the difference? Yeah, you know. Go ahead, brother.
They trying to petition the Vatican now to make Mary equal with the Messiah. They're trying to do that now. They're trying to put a petition. They got the priests and some bishops. They get quite a few of them. Make Mary equal with the Messiah.
Do you know anything about the Catholic Catechism?
Yes, I do.
They got a chain, got a lot of little beads on it. They call it a rosary. They've always had Mary higher than the Messiah. They've always had. They'll say one Our Father and say 10 Hail Marys and go over and say one more Our Father and then say 10 more Hail Marys. They're off in the Mary. You know why? Check back in the past. So their deities are women. As a matter of fact, the deity of America is liberty.
They got a play in football, a desperation play, right? At the last minute, a Hail Mary pass.
Right. Right.
Bomb.
They don't say Hail Yeshua, Hail to their Jesus. They say Hail Mary. That's right. They've always put Mary above Yeshua. They just use Yeshua because he was the one that was written in the book that was going to carry the people's sin. But if it wasn't for that, brother, they did it anyway. They went on and deitized that woman, Jack. And you notice nobody saying, well, I saw, they said, well, you know, I was going down the street and the Lord came into my life. See? But you got folks that's talking about, oh, yeah, I've seen the Virgin. I see her. All them little kids, Joan of Arc, and what them other two little girls at Lourdes, the village of St. Bernadette.
Our Lady of Lourdes.
Yeah. All these folks, stop to get their names down, but all these folks is off into what? They're off into Mary. See? They're off into Mary. As a matter of fact, you got some black women around here that's got congregations set up, and you know what they say? God, Mother, Father, God. Check that out. Mother, Father, God. See? The Messiah said, when you pray, say, Our Father. Right? But they come up with that, Mother, Father, God. Right.
Class, the whole idea of the Immaculate Conception which most people think has to do with the birth of the Messiah, is actually the Catholic belief that Mary had to be perfect in the way that she was born. I had never understood that, but somebody explained that to me, I think last year sometime or last summer or something. But it's just funny because people tend to get things all mixed up and it becomes something else, whereas they never really believed in the Messiah. They always believed, the Catholics always believed in Mary.
Mary was the sister that was born to perform that that ritual of giving birth, conceiving and giving birth to the Messiah. But as far as her personal life is concerned, brother, don't nobody know nothing about that. Folks just try to conjure up junk to make things seem like she had to be holy. Yeah, she's a virgin, so she had to be holy. I know a whole lot of virgins. No, I don't know a whole lot of them. But I know some virgins. I know some virgins, and they ain't holy one bit. Not one bit. They just virgins. That's all.
We say they ain't virgins.
They virgin. They ain't holding out
We
one.
should clarify that because there was a group that came into the Messiah and they tried to propagate that same lie. And they said, "Blessed be the paps with which you have sucked." And this was the Messiah, and they confronted him with that. And he said, "No, rather, blessed be those who keep the commandments and do the will of my Father." Right. So you'd be surprised. I mean, in this room, probably people who feel the same way, but the fact still remains, the Scripture makes it clear how it's supposed to be set up.
Of course.
Let me say this quickly. One of my coworkers pleaded with me, brother, because I got my beard. He said, "Brother, please come and play Santa Claus at my church." Come play Santa Claus at this church. Then you got the perfect image and everything. And I have on my garb.
Yeah, I heard, brother. You know how it is, Scuttlebug. Y'all gonna always hear something. Black folks always talking about something. I heard that we got a sister in the congregation had called over to the school about her kids, and they told them they was going to visit Santa. And they knew it, and the people knew better. So from what I heard, the sister went up there and showed the kids that Santa was a fake, pulled his beard in front of everybody. That's what I heard. Now I don't know. You know how it is when you hear things, but that's what I heard. But if you want to know some insight on that, I want to know whether it's truth or not, maybe you ought to ask Sister Johanna back there.
That brother been trying to ask questions.
Go ahead, brother.
In Matthew 15 and verse 2, the disciples and the Pharisees asked the disciples, why do they transgress the commandments of the elders, the traditions? But Yeshua came back in 15 and 3 and he said, but he asked them to say, why do you also transgress the commandments of Elohim by your traditions? So this is, we know in the book of Jeremiah, it tells us not to keep the custom of the heathens. Right. So these there's traditions that they break, they mean the commandments they break to keep traditions.
Correct.
Right.
Like you said, full well do you transgress against me keeping the tradition of your fathers. And that's basically what we've gotten off into, is traditions. But see, you have to understand that it's the way that we were raised up. We really didn't know these things until we came until the spirit of Yeshua was sent to us. And once that spirit was sent to us, then we realized a lot of things that we've been doing was we shouldn't do those things. But it's hard to break old habits. I mean, all of us can say, well, I ain't going to keep Christmas and I ain't going to keep Easter. But then what about the other? What about the 613 laws, statutes, and judgments that's written down? We have a tendency to deal with those the way that we feel about things at this time, you know what I mean? And it has nothing to do with what we feel. It has to do with exactly what's written down. A lot of people are going to try to interpret it the way that they want to interpret it. But what you do is you look back into the history of our people. This is why we read these stories. You look back into the history of our people and see how our people dealt things. Then you know whether we right or wrong.
You got a question, bro?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was wondering, I said, over historically, people had a tendency to want to worship the Queen of Heaven, and I think they try to use Mary now in her stead as a deity and worship her, but actually I think what their intent is to create some kind of feminine image up there to worship.
Correct.
As far as like they used to worship the Queen of Heaven.
Correct. It was Astaroth, Diana of the Ephesians. No, it's Mary.
Before they used to worship, so I'm thinking.
Yeah, Nimrod and his wife.
Right.
Right. Yeah, and that's where that Christmas tree and everything really goes back to, you know. But yeah, people deal with their fathers, man, the traditions of their fathers rather than deal with truth. As a matter of fact, in this congregation here, this is what we deal with the tradition that was given to Yahweh by our fathers. And everybody does it. And like I always say, you know, you go around, you see different people from different lands, you know, they be dancing around their little costumes and then doing their little dance in their lands and everything. It's part of their culture. But you notice, we don't have a culture. But the reason why we don't have a culture is because these heathens over here that we're servants to, they don't have a culture.
Just in my
I'm sorry, bro. You know what I mean?
I know.
I get kind of tongue-tied every now and then, but given to our fathers by Yahweh, okay. I'll rectify that, my brother. Okay. Go ahead and read, man, before I get myself in trouble.
Genesis chapter 48, verse 20. And he blessed them that day, saying, in you shall Israel bless, saying, Elohim make you as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And he set Ephraim before Manasseh. Verse 21. And Israel said unto Joseph, behold, I die, but Elohim shall be with you, and bring you again unto the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to you one portion above your brethren, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow.
Now, maybe y'all want to do some research and see which land it was that he took. And then you can understand why the people say that Lebanon is part of Israel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 1. And Yaakov called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days.
And this is something right here, giving blessings to your children, man. You don't know what to bless them with. You know why? Our kids do what they want to do. All of them. They do what they want to do. They do what you tell them to do to a certain degree, but they still make decisions about doing things on their own. Yours, mine, and everybody else's. And the thing of it is this. We can't bless our children with things simply because most of us don't know how to bless our children with things. Well, go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 2. Gather yourselves together, and hear, you sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn by might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, you shall not excel, because you went up to your father's bed, then defileth thou it. He went up to my couch.
Right, went up to his dad with his dad's concubine. You see, say, okay, I'm going up here during the time of wheat harvest. And he went and lay with his father concubine, but his father, he heard it, but he didn't say nothing about it. But you see what happened? This brother here was the firstborn, right? And he lost his birthright. See, yeah. For some flesh. Yeah, we put a lot of stock in that flesh, and that's what causes that's our biggest problem, putting stock in flesh, whether it's our own flesh or somebody else's. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 5. Simeon and Levi, brethren, instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. O my soul, come not thou into their secret, until their assembly, mine honor, be not you united. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a wall.
Right, they did it because of their sister. Brothers messed around and raped their sister, and they had them brothers to be circumcised, and then they went up there And after 3 days, when all the males were sore and so forth and so on, they went up there and killed off all the males and tore down the city. But see, they were seeking revenge. Revenge is something that you have to be very, very careful. Yahweh said, vengeance is mine. They should have laid it on his altar and been done with it. But see, we like to get back.
Right.
We have to get back. And in their getting back, it caused Jacob and his people to stink among the people. The brother was afraid to go different people because he didn't know what was going to happen because of what his boys had did. Killed off a whole village of men.
He told them that he had taken care of that.
Yeah. They made agreements about that deal, brother. They made agreements, so that showed that them brothers' word wasn't worth nothing. And what they cared about their father's word wasn't worth nothing. The same way that our young men do us today.
Because the key to that was when they made agreements, the people that had raped their sister was trying to do right.
Correct. They're trying to rectify the situation. The brother was trying to rectify what his people had done. And him and Jacob made agreements concerning that. But see, them brothers didn't like it. So them brothers didn't give a damn about their father's word, man. What they did, they went and took care of that business the way that they wanted to take care of it. The same way our kids do today. Ain't no difference between our children and those children.
Weren't they trying to con Jacob because they said, we'll marry their sons and and then we'll get their substance.
Yeah, they made agreement with.
But they were trying. That's what I'm saying. They were trying to con him into.
No, they weren't trying to con him.
To marry.
What they were trying to do was rectify that situation.
Because they said they will get their substance if we give them our daughters and our sons.
Right. In other words, what will be happening? They'll become one people. So that's what they meant about that.
They'll get their substance. He'll get his substance. I mean, he'll get his because he came with many cattle and sheep and so forth.
Well, they had many cattle and sheep too.
Right.
You see,
Yeah,
so
they had control of the region. It was more them than Israelites. It was more of them, and that's what Yaakov was saying. Yaakov was saying, "Look here, if these people coming to rectify the situation, y'all just chill, because first of all, we are trying to live in this region, and we don't need war. We don't need because if we do something to them, the other people that border us will hear about it, and they'll create a situation where we'll be warring against everybody."
Correct. So what they did was they just made agreements with each other. So it was just like families. Families make agreements, and they say, well, okay, our land is your land, and your land is our land. So they live together in the land, and they share their substance and so forth and so on. So what really wasn't any con game or anything that was going on. What people was trying to do was rectify a situation that had taken place that was a no-no. That was basically it. Well, go ahead and read, Steve.
Yes, sir. Verse 7. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. Yehuda, you are he whom your brethren shall praise. Your hand shall be in the neck of your enemies. Your father's children shall bow down before you. Yehuda is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you are gone up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? The scepter shall not depart from Yehuda, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be.
Now we know who Shiloh is. Shiloh was the Messiah. And it said the ruling power should not depart from Yehuda, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come. Yehuda was always considered the royal tribe of the 12 tribes. These were the rulers until the Messiah came. And when the Messiah came, then that thing came. Well, he come out of the house of David, still a Judite, but that power went from the well, it didn't go from them really. It just transferred from David to the Messiah, and David truly was a Judite. But the thing of it is this: Yahweh had made David a specific house. David was already a house, but Yahweh had made David a specific house. Now we had 12 tribes in one royal house. So the royal house, the Messiah, came out of David, so that the rulership would be in the house of David. But go ahead and read, bro. Yeah.
Something else that was kind of interesting. When Yaakov went up into Egypt, the first family that moved was Yehuda.
Yehuda's always first in the move.
Right. When we read in Numbers, when the trumpet was sounded.
When the camps get ready to move, Yehuda move. When time comes for our deliverance, Yehuda's got to move. Yehuda's always got to move first simply because they were the royal tribe, and the men of Judah is the lot of Yahweh's inheritance. Yeah. Go ahead. Some folks look at this plant, brother, and say, man, that's a degenerate plant. You see, but yet and still, it shows that Yahweh is governing this thing. His pleasant plant still is Yehuda, because he still has some people around that that's trying to do what Judah was supposed to do. But go ahead and finish up, brother.
Verse 11. Bounding his foal unto the vine, and his ass coat unto the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Sidon. Issachar is a strong ass couching down between two burdens. And he saw that rest was good, and the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute.
Right, he became a servant to the land. The land was good. So, man, we're going to work this land here. We ain't got to move no more. Let's get the fruits out of this land here. And that was his thing. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 16. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel.
Samson came out of the house of Dan. He truly was a judge in Israel. Go ahead, brother.
Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path that biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall backward. I have waited for your salvation, O Yahweh. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last.
Amen.
Out of Asher his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. Naphtali is an hind let loose, he giveth goodly words. Yosef is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well, whose branches run over the wall. The archers have sorely grieved him and shot at him and hated him, but his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hand were made strong by the hands of the mighty El of Yaakov.
Amen.
From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel.
Amen. Not from Joseph, but from the God of Yaakov, right? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 25. Even by the Elohim of your father who shall help you, and by the Almighty who shall bless you with blessings of heaven above, blessing of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breast and of the womb, the blessings of your father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Yosef, and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brethren. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is it that their father spoke unto them and blessed them. Every one according to his blessing he blessed them. And Israel charged them and said unto them, I am to be gathered unto my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought with the field of Ephron the Hittite for a possession of a burial place. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife. There they buried Isaac and Rebekah his wife. And there I buried Leah.
Hold up, brother.
Leadership of Israel, and that's been the main thing we've had a problem with as Israelites. The leaders that Yahweh has chosen to this day.
Brother, people have a tendency to like the kind of leaders that they like.
Right.
Some people like people that's very charismatic. Some people don't. It's just like you got, and people going to make up their minds what they want to do, and who they want to deal with. Some people are. It's just like some folks come over here and say, well, the elder's not dynamic enough. Well, that all depends on what you call dynamic. Do you learn what you're supposed to learn? That's what I'm interested in. Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 31. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife. There they buried Isaac and Rebekah his wife, and there I buried Leah.
Right. A lot of times, brother, what people be looking for is motivational speakers.
Right.
And see, what I try to do is this. I try to let the prophets here to be the motivational speakers. You know, you stand in the background.
They want you to make sure that you feel that you're dependent on them, not that it's a family involvement.
Yeah. Well, whatever reason, brothers. It's giving glory where glory is due. Let Yahweh take his lead. Let the Spirit is the one to receive all the glory and all the salvation. Because, see, man is going to die.
No doubt.
So, you know, wherein is he to be accounted of? You know, his life is only a vapor here on this earth. Just be glad that Yahweh give you the opportunity to serve him in the capacity that he gave you to serve him in that short time that you're here on this earth, and give it your best shot, because you ain't gonna get no more gusto. Yeah, go ahead and read, bro.
Verse 32. The purchase of the field and of the cave that is therein was from the children of Heth. And when Jacob had made an end of commanding his sons, he gathered up his feet into the bed and yielded up the ghost, and was gathered unto his people.
Chapter. Go ahead and read down to verse 3, brother.
It's important to note in this blessing of these 12 sons, in verse 3, he tells the oldest that he would no longer be the firstborn. And then in verse 8 through 11, it talks about the power and the leadership role that Yehuda would be given. And then over in verse 25 and 26, it gives the blessings of Yosef, who he would make the firstborn over Reuben. And I'd like to read in First Chronicles chapter 5, verse 1 and 2, to tie it all up. It says in First Chronicles chapter 5, verse 1, Now the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, for he was the firstborn, but for as much as he defiled his father's bed, his birthright was given unto the sons of Yosef, the son of Israel, and the genealogy is not to be reckoned after the birthright. Verse 2, For Yehuda prevailed above his brethren, and of him came the chief ruler, but the birthright was Yosef.
Correct. You're absolutely correct. Joseph had, it was a reason for all of that. It was a reason why Reuben went and lay with his with his father's concubine. This blessing here had to come upon Joseph simply because of the things that Yahweh was dealing with Joseph.
Right.
See, and all of the things that it was only right that Joseph would take the mantle on this thing, and that he would receive the blessing of the firstborn, simply because of the position that he had with God himself. And Yahweh, he didn't deal with the other brothers, he dealt with Yosef. Right. Yosef was the dreamer. So we can very well see how easily that birthright would be given to Yosef instead of Yehuda. What did Yehuda done? He was one of the brothers who wanted to sell off the dude.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
It all boils down to the same. Paul says, why should the slave say to the potter, why did you make me?
Right.
Yeah.
But even though he gave the blessing to Yosef, Yehuda still had a position as firstborn.
Sure. Yehuda didn't have the position of the firstborn. Yehuda had the position as the governors of the land. That's what Yehuda was. They were made governors of the land. But the blessing of the firstborn went to Ephraim and Manasseh.
Who he adopted. He adopted them as his own.
This is why when the tribes were divided, this is why Ephraim and Manasseh carried so much power. When the tribes were divided, Ephraim was set up as the ruler of 9 tribes. You see, so we can very well see that the blessing had already started to come upon Ephraim and Manasseh, and things are still going to be set up the same way. We know that Judah is going to be the governors of the land once we get set up, but you still have to give Ephraim and Manasseh the blessings that was given to them also, because that's not going to change.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Which one of the prophets spoke on that when the Spirit said that Ephraim and Manasseh is my firstborn? It was one of the prophets I was looking for.
And they shall become one stick in my hand.
Right.
It's Isaiah.
Actually, Elder, you said what was read when you commented the first time. But anyway.
Go ahead and read, Steve.
Genesis chapter 50, verse 1. And Joseph fell upon his father's face and wept upon him and kissed him. And Joseph commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father, and the physicians embalmed Israel. And 40 days were fulfilled for him, for so are fulfilled the days of those which are embalmed, and the Egyptians mourned for him 70 days.
Right, and this was the first time that I've read of any one of our people being embalmed was Jacob, Israel. Usually what they do, which is put you in a hole in the ground and be done with it. Right. Chapter 50 and verse 15, my brother.
And when Joseph's brethren saw that their father was dead, they said, Joseph will peradventure hate us, and will certainly requite us all the evil which we did unto him. And they sent a messenger unto Joseph, saying, Thy father did command before he died, saying, So shall you say unto Joseph, Forgive, I pray you now, the trespass of your brethren and their sin. For they did unto you evil, and now we pray you, forgive the trespass of the servants of the Elohim of your father. And Joseph wept when they spoke unto him.
Right, he wonder why them brothers come to him with some junk like that. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 18. And his brethren also went and fell down before his face, and they said, Behold, we be your servants. And Joseph said unto them, Fear not, for am I in the place of Elohim?
Amen. That's the thing to say when somebody transgresses against you. Right. Instead of seeking revenge, just ask them, am I in God's stead?
Right.
He said, vengeance is mine. I will recompense it. And we don't do that a lot of time. A lot of time we want to avenge ourselves because of this filthy flesh.
Yes, sir.
But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 20. But as for you, you thought evil against me. But Elohim meant it unto good to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive.
Amen.
Now therefore fear you not. I will nourish you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spoke kindly unto them. And Joseph dwelt in Egypt, he and his father's house, and Joseph lived 110 years. And Joseph saw Ephraim children of the third generation. The children also of Machir, the son of Manasseh, were brought upon Joseph's knees. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I die, and Elohim will surely visit you, and bring you out of this land unto the land which he swore to Abraham, to Esau, and to Jacob. And Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, Elohim will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones from hence. So Joseph died, being 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt.
Go ahead, bro.
Now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Every man and his household came with Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Yehuda, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it comes to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
They ain't gonna have that kind of problem with Israel, because Israel already fight wars for master. Right. Israel will join the army and go fight in a minute. This is my country, right? Sure it is. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 11. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Python and Ramesses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew.
As it is this day. Go ahead, brother.
And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor.
The same thing they did when we came over here, and they're doing the same thing again today in this corporate structure, making you serve with rigor. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 15. And the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Purah. And he said, when you do the service of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
Chapter 2 and verse 1, brother. Genocide from the womb. And they doing this now. They try to get it before they even get in the womb. Tell me, take this birth control pill. Right.
It's on autopilot now, brother. They killing them and throwing them in the dumpster and in the toilet every time you turn around right now.
Yeah, brother, but the women ain't all to blame about that. Men got something to do with that too. Women don't make no babies by themselves. Yeah, go ahead and read.
Then if they don't kill them, they got these big facilities they built under the Clinton administration, huh?
Yeah.
Got the jails to put them in, huh?
Yes, sir. That's after they get grown. But when them newborns, brother, the women ain't saying, well, I don't want this child, and the man just standing by. What it is men are consenting to these things, because a lot of our brothers don't want that extra burden and so forth of rearing a child and so forth and so on. They don't want the responsibility, so they're going along with this thing. So it's not just the women that's saying, well, I don't want a child. It's also the men that's up into this thing.
That's what this trial down in North Carolina is all about, this football
And
player.
his wife killed.
Yeah, because he had one child and then one another.
So you heard.
Yeah, so it's reported.
It's been said that he had this woman killed, but I know some folks that went down and tried to get their hands in it to try to aid this brother here, and I don't think those folks would be doing that if they had one inkling of an idea that this brother had anything to do with that whatsoever. So, that's what they said, but just because they say somebody did something, let's not jump to the conclusion and say, well, they did do it, because we could be lying on that, brother, and it's against the laws of God to lie.
It's term. But I tell you, if my daughter bring one home, if she ain't been raped, she in big trouble, brother, because if she raped, that's one thing. But other than that, she got control of her faculty.
And you in big trouble too, because you're going to take care of it. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're going to do it because it's your daughter. Yes, you are, brother. You're going to, anytime that child needs something, you're going to be right there to get it. Yeah. We can talk that hard talk, brother, when them babies come in, man. Them babies didn't ask to come here. So I'm not gonna, if a child have a baby in your house, you're gonna just disregard her, act stupid with her just because she made an error. Look at all the errors we made. Yeah, you have to learn how to discern what's going on, brother. Mine had one, and I sure didn't put out. And if I have another one that have one, I ain't gonna put her out either. You know what I'm gonna do? When she needs some Pampers, I'm gonna buy it if she ain't got the money. If she needs some milk, I'm gonna buy it if I got the money. Any of my kids, if they have children to bring home, children can't help being here. And somebody has got to rear those children. Are they gonna be turned over to the state? Are they gonna be neglected? And somebody has got to help. And you gotta remember one thing, it's still part of your seed.
And the brothers that's dating these sisters have to begin to recognize the responsibility. I think that was one of the things that deterred me.
Well, even if they don't recognize the responsibility, the child still has to be taken care of, brother. And it's in your house, it's your job.
But Elder, we have to look at it too. If they made an error, where did that error come from?
Huh?
That somebody had to step in and took care of it.
Of course, my brother. Of course. You just have to, understand what the actual thing is instead of what machoism is all about. Yeah, go on and read.
You know, like I say, getting back to that, my daughter, man, she's off in the corporate America big time. She's keeping Christmas and going to these churches, but Who told her about that at first? I did. I lied to her, didn't I?
It still didn't stop her from being your daughter, did it?
Yeah, but she carrying out that lie that I told her.
But it still doesn't stop her from being
no.
your daughter, does it? Okay. Go on and read, man.
Exodus chapter 2, verse 1. And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi.
If a man don't take care of his own, if a man don't take care of his own, he's worse than an infidel. I mean, regards to what a person do, you have to learn how to have compassion. It's like that thing, the Messiah went to, some people went to the Messiah, and they had put up this woman and this man to where they can get caught in adultery. And they went and asked the Messiah, they say, now, according to law, she's supposed to be stoned. What you say about it? He said, let him that is without sin cast the first stone. And that's what we have to remember. Because any man to say he has not got sin is a liar, and the truth is not in him. As Yahweh forgives, like the apostles asked the Messiah, say, how often shall I forgive my brother? 7 times? He say, till 7 times, 7 is 7 times. Because if you don't forgive your brother, your heavenly Father will not forgive you. This shows us we have to learn what compassion and wisdom is all about.
You know, Elder, and even in our younger years and our promiscuity, you know, it's telling the seeds that we have sown, and to say that we're going to discard them because we're not a parent, you know, that's not right.
I'm sorry, Elder, I'm not nearly as learned as you are, but is there a law against children having children or teenagers having children?
Well, I haven't read any law against teenagers having children, brother, because there's a lot of folks that marry young ladies.
So if there isn't, then we can't exact any kind of punishment that's not godly punishment on his children.
Correct. See, because of the system of things, because of our relatives and what everybody have to say, we are quick to say, well, go with a whole lot of junk simply because of our station, or because we don't want nobody to talk. But let me tell you something, brother. They talked the Messiah up on a cross. So what folks care about talking about you? You know what I mean? So you go to sleep, sometime wake up, your ears be just burning. What's going on? Niggas talking about you somewhere. That's what it is. Yeah. Go turn on. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this was in regard to the children. It was in Corinthians, 2 Corinthians 12:14. Paul says, for the children ought not to live for the parents, but the parents for the children. So you got to take care of kids.
Correct. Correct.
That's right.
Go on and finish up, brother.
Yes, sir. Exodus chapter 2, verse 1. And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son, and when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes, and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off to wit what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the river's side. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maids to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, this is one of the Hebrews' children. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call to you a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for you? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, take this child away, and nurse it for me, and I will give you your wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moshe, and she said, because I drew him out of the water.
Right, she became his son, but Moshe knew that Yoshebed was his mother. Moshe knew as he got older that he was a Hebrew, and he tried to deal with his people and deal with the system the way he had that he wanted to. But being a Hebrew, we know what happened with that. Verse 23, brother.
Yes, sir. And it came to pass in process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto Elohim by reason of the bondage. And Elohim heard their groaning, and Elohim remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And Elohim looked upon the children of Israel, and Elohim had respect unto them.
Praise Yah.
Now Moshe kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of Elohim, even to Horeb. And the angel of Yahweh appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moshe said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt.
Mm-hmm.
And when Yahweh saw that he turned aside to see, Elohim called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moshe, Moshe. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not near hither, put off your shoes from off your feet, for the place whereon you stand is holy ground.
Mm-hmm.
Moreover, he said, I am the El of your father, the El of Abraham, the El of Isaac, and the El of Jacob. And Moshe hid his face.
Right. Now, you see what he said? He said, I'm the God of your fathers. Amen. But we know who it was, an angel, right? The angel said, I am the God of your fathers. The Messiah said, I and my Father are one. Right? That's simply because they agree in one. Amen. That's what it is. There was two different entities, just like the angels and Yahweh is different entities. But the angel could say, well, I'm Yahweh your Elohim. You know why? He was what? He was an emissary that was sent directly to deal with this situation.
And got the authority to deal.
Of course he has. Of course he had. That's why you think he told Moses, take off shoes off your feet, man, because the place you stand is holy ground. Why is it holy? Because I'm standing on this ground. Right?
And as we become a nation of kings and priests, we'll be saying the same thing when we go and take care of the business that we're supposed to take care of.
You're going to have to, bro. The removing of the shoes of your feet, man, is, maybe some of y'all need to do some research on that, see what you come up with. That's why we don't wear shoes in the sanctuary. But go ahead and read, Steve.
Last part, verse 6. For he was afraid to look upon Elohim. And Yahweh said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows, and I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land unto a good land, and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites.
Right, he said, I've heard what you had to say. In other words, I've been given the charge over you. See? And I've heard what you've had to say, and I've received commandment, and I have come down to deliver you, right? It didn't make no difference whether it was Yahweh himself, or whether it was an angel, or whoever it was. They had all of the power of the true and living God. Don't misunderstand or underestimate the power that Yahweh has given you as people. Don't misunderstand it, and please don't misuse it. I know a lot of us walk around and think we know this and we know that. You don't know nothing as you ought to know, and you don't know nothing that you haven't been taught. So if you received it, don't act like it was yours all the beginning. Always learn how to be humble. You can find out one thing. You can catch more ants with honey than you can with a stick. Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 9. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now therefore, and I will send you unto Pharaoh, that you may bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt.
Right. This is why I always tell brothers, man, if you think you got a charge, You can think that as much as you want to. Except the angel of the Lord come to you and tell you you got to anoint you, brother, you better leave that alone.
Right.
Yeah, but you know how folks are. You get folks 19 years old, think they've been in the congregation 2 months and think they're authority on everything.
Right.
And just picked up the Bible 2 months ago.
Right.
Right. Go ahead now, read, brother.
Verse 11. And Moshe said unto Elohim, who am I that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt?
Right. Moses knew he had killed that Egyptian. He didn't want to go back down there. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 12. And he said, certainly I will be with you, and this shall be a token unto you that I have sent you. When you have brought forth the people out of Egypt, you shall serve Elohim upon this mountain.
Right. He didn't say you're going to serve me. He told him I was the Lord your God. But he didn't say you're going to serve me. He said you are going to serve the Almighty El upon this mountain here.
That's key there. Okay.
Not to go up no mountain now.
Yeah. You got to climb the mountain, brother. You got to climb over the mountain and hope it's a million obstacles up on that mountain for you to get across. Because the easier it is, if it get too easy for you, you look behind it, your adversary, the devil's going to be in it.
No doubt.
Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 13. And Moshe said unto Elohim, behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, the El of your fathers have sent me unto you, and they shall say unto me, what is his name? What shall I say unto them? And Elohim said unto Moshe, I am that I am.
I will be who I will be. Amen. That's what Yahweh means. I will be who I will be. Go ahead, brother.
And he said, thus shall you say unto the children of Israel, I am have sent me unto you. And Elohim said moreover unto Moshe, thus shall you say unto the children of Israel, Yahweh Elohim of your fathers, the El of Abraham, the El of Isaac, and the El of Jacob have sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations.
My name forever is I am that I am. I will be who I will be, and I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This will be the memorial of all generations.
Amen.
Man trying to say now, well, he threw the Jews away and he grabbed the Gentiles. No, he didn't. You're a wild olive tree. You've been grafted into this tree here contrary to nature. But see, the adversary, the devil, has told you, say, look, take over this tree, man.
Right.
So what did you do? You hewed down the tree just like John the Baptist said. Now the axe is laid to the root of the trees. You see? So what happened was Yahweh allowed the adversary, the devil, to hew down this tree so that he can get him some glory in the end. Amen. It's all about him, ain't about us, man. We ain't number pawns. Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 16. Go and gather the elders of Israel together.
Right, don't go gather them young folk, because them young folks don't know how to pour a pea out of a boot. Right. Go grab the elders of Israel who have lived long enough and went through enough thing to have their senses exercised by the thing that's written in the law.
Right.
You know, brother, you know the brothers that have come through here and left make me think, brother. It's the same thing with that thing with Rehoboam and Jeroboam. Mm-hmm. They always seek to their appeals. Right. Mm-hmm. The scriptures say, ask your elder and he will tell you, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Folks don't want to do that, brother. Everybody think there's some great one. Everybody think there's some great one, brother. Right. That's what the whole deal is. So, you know, what you do is you back up. You know what you're doing. So you do your job and let folks do their job. Yahweh make it all manifest. It's either going to come out to his glory or it's going to come out to their shame, one of the two. So you just sit back and watch situation and see what's going to take place. And Yahweh make it manifest in his time.
Well, the Sabbath day, brother, really makes a lot manifest because the people who do love their Elohim make sure that they are there on the Sabbath because he commanded it so. So that definitely is an indicator of who he is and who ain't.
Sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes, because a lot of times my brothers, folks just can't make it. And you never know why. You never know the reasons why. But it comes up many times that people just can't make the Sabbath day. And sometimes folks have families and they have jobs. and their peers demand, the man that's paying them demand that they be there at work on the Sabbath. Then they have to be there if they care for the livelihood of their family. You have to understand one thing. The Sabbath wasn't made for man. Man was made for the Sabbath. Right. And when you got an ox in the ditch, like the Messiah said, which one of you have an ox in the ditch that won't put him out on the Sabbath day? Well, that's what happens. A lot of time we get an ox in the ditch and we have to do what we have to do, see. But the thing of it is, when you get right down to it, is your Creator know your heart in the beginning. Amen. It was like this brother that was a servant to a man, and he was getting ready to go, and the man told him to pick up that stuff for them and bring it in the temple here so I can go serve my God. He went. He knew what his job was. He knew he wasn't supposed to go in there, don't he? Right. He knew he wasn't supposed to handle that abomination because it was a sacrifice to a pagan god, right? But what did he do? He went and laid that stuff on Yahweh's altar. Say, you know, I got to go in here because this is my boss, and I got to do what he tell me to do. He say, but you know I don't serve no other God but you, right? Picked up that stuff, went on in temple. Right. You just have to be discreet. You have to know how to do things. And if you don't know how to do things, you can get caught up into a lot of... The letter of the law kills, man. Yeah, we have to understand that, you know.
And people watch that, too.
Of course they do.
Because then when they see you do that, then you can't make no mistakes.
Right.
And if you don't make no room for no mistakes, if people see you, you know, and you're going to make some mistakes. If you in this flesh. You're going to make some mistakes, and then people say, oh, see that, you did that. Oh, you ain't holy as you. Yeah, you keep the Sabbath day, but you ain't holy as you think you is.
You know what I ask folks when they say that? I said, what did you expect? Huh? You dealing with flesh and blood. What did you expect?
I had one of my coworkers doing this last week. This week. And they was putting little gifts in your box, and I told another sister, I said, well, you can have that. I said, because I don't receive gifts in the name of Christmas. She said, all right, Mr. Israel. I said, so if I put some money in there, I said, now look, I ain't foolish.
Yo. That sound like to me. That sound like a brother I knew in Chicago. He was a musician, and guys were trying to get him because they had a gig coming up on that was going to fall on the evening of the Sabbath. You know, when the Sabbath first come in on Friday night on the 6th day, and they tried to get the brother to go, and the brother I think back in then he's gonna make about $50. You know what the brother said? No, man, I ain't gonna break the Sabbath except I get $100. Yeah. And but what that shows is this: every one of us got our price. Right. See, it all depends on what is it that's going to come up in our life that we are going to allow us to give up our birthright for. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Go ahead now, read, Steve.
Verse 16. Go and gather the elders of Israel together and say unto them, Yahweh Elohim of your fathers, the El of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, appeared unto me, saying, I have surely visited you and seen that which is done to you in Egypt. And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt unto the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. And they shall hearken to your voice, and you shall come, you and the elders of Israel, unto the king of Egypt, and you shall say unto him, Yahweh Elohim of the Hebrews have met with us, and now let us go, we beseech you, 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to Yahweh our Elohim. And I am sure that the king of Egypt will not let you go, no, not by a mighty hand. And I will stretch out my hand and smite Egypt with all my wonders, which I will do in the midst thereof, and after that he will let you go. And I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, and it shall come to pass that when you go, you shall not go empty. But every woman shall borrow of her neighbor and of her that sojourneth in her house jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment, and you shall put them upon your sons and upon your daughters, and you shall spoil the Egyptians.
Now, when we get ready to leave this time, we won't have to borrow jewels of gold and jewels of silver, because the scripture tell us that her storehouses are going to be open and she's going to be robbed. And the children of Israel is going to be the one that's going to do the robbing, because we're going to end up coming out with great substance. But people are going to give us a lot of things, thinking they're going to get this pressure of the Russians destroying them, this prophecy rather of the Russians destroying America up off them. But it's imminent.
It's just like the situation with the South Africans, where they gathering up people to apologize for the apartheid. You know, you got the South Africans who are running apartheid now, themselves starting a coalition going back apologizing for the apartheid.
Didn't Bill Clinton apologize? Didn't he?
Yeah, I'm just saying, but they just trying to come up with a compassionate, they want compassion among their brethren, so their brethren can be compassionate, so they can say, look here, y'all need to start opening y'all arms to these people, so, because we've done some horrible things to these people, and we got to recognize we've done some horrible things to these people.
Well,
and in order for things to go right with us, we need to kind of make some things happen with these people.
Well, didn't Bill Clinton ask our forgiveness? But it didn't put no money on my table.
No, I didn't.
It didn't change the Constitution, did it?
But I mean, it's going to go beyond that. It's going to begin to go beyond that. I'm just saying that's the beginning of it.
Oh, I know. But none of that changed the Constitution.
No, it didn't.
Okay, in 1776, you were considered 3/5 of a human being, right?
3/5.
You're still 3/5. Lepers don't change the spots. Yeah. Go ahead and finish up, brother.
That question.
Yeah.
Elder, is it true that the Constitution said that the black man was gonna be like one third like of a white man?
3/5 of that was what
Yeah.
No. What it says was that we are 3/5. Well, the Constitution was written up for the people, of the people, and by the people, right? And we were not considered people.
Right.
We were considered 3/5 of a human being, so they wouldn't have to pay property taxes on us. You see, that's what that was all. And guess what? It's still the same, but not only do they not have to pay property taxes on, now they make us pay our own tax. Yeah. Go ahead and finish up, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse chapter 4, Exodus chapter 4, verse 1. And Moshe answered and said, but behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For they will say, Yahweh have not appeared unto you.
Right. Do you know what? That's the same thing I heard when I first came to Atlanta. Man, you must be crazy. Ain't nobody told you nothing, man. Where you get that junk from, man? I bumbled around with folks for a whole year before I'd even get anybody to even just listen to what was saying. I was beginning to think something was wrong. I said, man, all these folks here, something is wrong here. Y'all, you need to send me somebody I can deal with. You know what I mean? And the folks he sent for me to deal with, brother, I wanted to take them out there and drop them off one of them bridges on 285 during rush hour. Yeah. But see, I know what that was all about. All of that was that grooming process. Yeah, I know what it was all about. Go ahead and read, Steve.
Verse 2. And Yahweh said unto him, what is that in your hand? And he said, a rod. And he said, cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moshe fled from before it. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, put forth your hand and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand, that they may believe that Yahweh Elohim of their fathers, the El of Abraham, the El of Isaac, and the El of Jacob have appeared unto you. And Yahweh said furthermore unto him, put now your hand into your bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, put your hand into your bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe you, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto your voice, that you shall take of the water of the river and pour it upon the dry land, and the water which you take out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land. And Moshe said unto Yahweh, O my Adonai, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore nor since you have spoken unto your servant, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue.
Moses didn't want to go back down into Egypt. That's what the whole deal was with Moses. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 11. And Yahweh said unto him, Who have made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb, or deaf, or the sin, or the blind? Have not I, Yahweh? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth, and teach you what you shall say. And Moshe said, O my Adonai, send, I pray you, by the hand of him whom you will send. And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against Moshe, and he said, Is not Aaron the Levite your brother? I know that he can speak well. And also, behold, he cometh forth to meet you. And when he seeth you, he will be glad in his heart. And you shall speak unto him and put words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you what you shall do. And he shall be your spokesman unto the people, and he shall be to you instead of a mouth, and you shall be to him instead of Elohim. And you shall take this rod in your hand, wherewith you shall do signs.
Verse 29.
And Moshe and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel, and Moshe spoke all the words which Yahweh had spoken. Verse 30. And Aaron spoke all the words which Yahweh had spoken unto Moshe, and did the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed. And when they heard that Yahweh had visited the children of Israel, and that he had looked upon their affliction, then they bowed their heads and worshiped.
Okay, my brother, I want to stop right there. And what we'll do next week is we'll pick it up at Exodus chapter 5. I want to stop right there. And like I said, next week we'll pick this up at chapter 5. I just wanted to do up into the calling out of the assembly. And the assembly has already been called to be prepared. And the same thing with us. We are being prepared for a mass exodus from this country. Amen. But just as the people here went out in the wilderness, we have to understand it was an 11 days journey. An 11 days journey from Egypt to Israel. And Yahweh kept the folks out there 40 years to purge out from among them those that had rebelled against them when they first came out of Egypt. And when we leave out of here, the exact same thing is going to happen. Only 1 in 3 of us that leave this country is going to go into the land. And my job is to prepare you for this going into the land. I'm not preparing you to get out in the street and kill off somebody, because none of us are warriors. We are an advanced information team, and our job is just to produce and hand out information. Because we know what's going to happen if we try to go to war with these Europeans. They can shoot stuff out of space, and we never even know what hit us. But Yahweh has already told us what we got to do. We got to study his word and rest in that spirit and do the job that's at hand, because truly one of these days your brother's going to rise up terribly to shake this earth. And you have to wonder, where will you be when the trumpet sounds? That's all I'm going to do today. We have any announcements?